Welcome to the Senior Safety Advice Podcast, your trusted source for expert guidance on aging safely and independently. Whether you're a caregiver, a family member, or a senior looking to stay secure at home and beyond, we've got you covered. From fall prevention and home modifications to financial safety and scam awareness, we provide practical tips to help you or your loved ones live with confidence. Tune in and empower yourself with the knowledge you need to navigate the challenges of aging. Let's make safety simple.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Senior Safety Advice Podcast. This is Esther Kane, and today on our fifth podcast, we're going to be talking about some of the best home modifications if you're considering aging in place. I myself am 66 years old, and I plan to stay in my home another, hopefully, 10 to 15 years. So I just recently had a whole slew of modifications done specifically for the idea of aging in place. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that are some of the best things to do, and then, hopefully, and also what I've done in my home. So grab a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, wine, vodka, whatever, and sit down and hopefully you will learn a thing or two. All right. So one of the very first things that I think are very important are to consider your entryways. How do you enter the house? Is it the front door, the back door, through the garage? Whatever way you enter, is there do you have to climb steps? Do you have to maneuver around a lot of things? I have some friends that have some wonderful large garages, but in order for them to get from the driveway through the garage to the steps to get into the home, they have to maneuver through a lot of different items. And some of those items are not fastened to the wall. They'll fall. It's a hazard. At the end of the day, it's a hazard. So you want to make sure to have as clear a path into and out of your home as possible. Ideally, although I think it's almost impossible with most any home, is you want a curbless entryway. You want something that has no steps and no threshold, so that if you were to have to use a wheelchair, I'm not sure if that's correct, but if you needed at any point to use a wheelchair, even if it's on a temporary basis, it can be very difficult to get that wheelchair or even a rolling walker over a threshold. So ideally, if you're going to be doing any remodeling, if you can make those areas flat, that would be actually ideal. But I know that that's very, very difficult. But it is something to think about. You also want to think about the width of the doorways. Are they wide enough to accommodate, a walker, a wheelchair? The minimum requirement is actually 32 inches. If you can make it an inch or two bigger, that would be even better. But the minimum is 32 inches wide. So you do want to take a look at that. A lot of the interior doors of older homes are not that wide at all. So if you're going to do remodeling, if they're coming in and changing walls or anything like that, you might as well go ahead and have the additional work done to increase the width of any doorways, especially doorways going into bedrooms and bathrooms and kitchens and, the most important parts of the home. Another thing you may want to consider is a ramp. Now, don't discount the idea of a ramp. Now, a lot of people, when they think of a ramp, they think of this, seesaw back and forth kind of ramp, a U-shaped type of thing that'll go up to the house, that screams, someone who's disabled lives here. But the truth is, it doesn't have to be that way. Depending on your property, how your property is, so a lot of ramps can actually be incorporated into the landscape of that front yard or backyard or side yard, however you get into your home. And it doesn't have to look like a disabled person lives there. There's some beautiful designs of ramps these days. And even if you don't use a wheelchair, a ramp is really it can be a beautiful entryway into your home. I have a friend who lives on a bit of a hill. And what they did is they have steps to go up that hill to go up to their home. But they also added on the side, they also added a ramp. And it's just this beautiful flowing cement ramp that goes up to their front porch. It's really quite beautiful, landscape lovely. So don't discount the idea. If you have it, you may want to, if you have the space, you may want to consider with the landscape architect and an aging in place specialist, put them together to see what they can come up with as far as an idea for a ramp. It may not be something you want to build at the moment, but it could be something that you have the plans for the future. So one of the first rooms that I changed in my home was my bathroom. Now, I live in the north part of Georgia, just north of Atlanta. So it's central north, I guess. But we do get winter here, not Boston blizzard winter, but it does get cold. It does get below zero at times. So it does get a little cool in the home. So bathrooms are usually notoriously one of the coldest places in a home, especially if you need to take a shower or whatever. So two of the things that I did to make my bathroom more comfortable for me was to put a heat lamp over my shower. And I took out the bathtub completely. One, I don't ever really take a bath, but if you do, you can certainly put a heat lamp over the bathtub. Especially if it's a walk-in bathtub. I would definitely, if you're going to replace your regular bathtub with a walk-in bathtub, I would definitely put a heat lamp over that because you have to sit there and wait for the water to go down. So while that's going down, you may get cool, especially in the winter. So a heat lamp is a great thing. But anyway, I put mine over my shower and it has a timer. So when I turn on the heat lamp, it'll stay on for 15 minutes or so. And the other thing that I did was, since I was redoing the bathroom anyway, I had the floors torn up and I had heated floors put in. And that's just this material that they put underneath the ceramic tile floor. And that has made a huge difference in the comfort level of, for me, of my bathroom, especially during the winter. So those are two items that you may think are a luxury item, but they really can make the difference. And I think your future self will very much love them. So I know that those are two of the things that I did on my home that are just amazing. Now, the other thing in the bathroom is you want to definitely make sure that whatever flooring you put down, be it mats or ceramic, whatever, that you want to make sure that it's as non-slip as possible. And even in your shower or in your bathtub, years ago, they used to have those large daisy decals that you put on the bathtub. They would get all moldy and yicky and horrible to take out. But nowadays they have some beautiful adhesive stickers that you can put on there, and it's a lot easier to keep clean these days. So take a look at those and take a look at any other materials that you could put on your shower floor and bathtub floor to keep them as non-slip as possible. The other thing I did also in my shower is I added grab bars and also around my commode area. And the grab bars are excellent. You just want to make sure that they can hold up your weight. Now they have normally grab bars will hold up to about 250 pounds. But if you're heavier than that, or if you're close to that, then you may get heavier as you get older. So you want to make sure that you get grab bars that can accommodate your weight. Now, where you place them will depend a lot on your height, depend on if you have arthritis in your hands, how you maneuver. So an occupational therapist or an aging and safe specialist can come in and assess and show you where the best places to be for your situation of where to put those grab bars. But they're definitely a godsend. It's a very inexpensive type of thing to do, and it will save you in the long run. I know for me, I sometimes get very lightheaded depending on my sugar levels. So, getting lightheaded in the shower is not a good thing. So, being able to hold on to that grab bar is a lifesaver. And also a seat. Having a seat inside your shower or bathtub is also, that's another thing that I added when I had the shower stall redone, is had them put a seat in there. Now, I know some people say they don't want a tile seat because it's cold, but I haven't found that to be true. I tend to have very warm, take very warm, hot showers, and I don't find that tile cold at all. But of course, you can assess, whether it's would be a good thing for you. Otherwise, they do have teak chairs that you can put in your shower or bathtub. And again, you can speak with an occupational therapist or a aging in place specialist who can help you with any of that. But those are the things that I did in my bathroom. And now when I moved into my home, my bathrooms had the old round knobs on the sinks. Well, actually, all the sinks had them, even in the kitchen. So I initially changed all of those to levers. And I even changed all the doorknobs in my home from round to levers, simply because, one, as you grow older, it's a bit harder to handle anything that's round, especially if you have arthritis in your hands. And I have a little arthritis in my right hand, and I'm right-handed. So it made it difficult sometimes to hold on to that and turn it. With the lever, it's merely a push. And second of all, if your hands are full with groceries or whatever, you can use your elbow to push down on that lever to open the door. So it's safer on those two occasions. So I would definitely work on replacing the knobs on all your doors, closets, and everything with levers. All right, so what about another room that's used quite often is your bedroom. Of course, you want to make the bedroom as safe and comfortable as possible. And what I did was that I moved my washer and dryer. I live in a 2-story home, and I moved my washer and dryer from the main level upstairs into my walk-in closet. I happen to have a walk-in closet in my bedroom. It's not a huge one, but it was enough to put in a stackable washer and dryer. And the reason I wanted to do that was because, one, it just made perfect sense to have the washer and dryer on the floor where 98% of your laundry is. And two, I did not want to walk up and down the stairs with clothing, baskets, or anything where I could trip and fall. So having the washer and dryer, now that took some work to get that in there, because obviously they had to put in electrical and plumbing and all of that, but they did do it, and it is amazing. I love it. I will never live in another house again without a washer and dryer in my closet, or at least on that second level or the same level as the bedrooms. It's beautiful to be able to just take things out of the dryer and hang them up right then and there. I love it. It's another one of the great things that I did. So yes, if you can do that, would be an amazing thing to do. Another thing you want to consider is the height of your bed. I had a very high bed, and I found that I couldn't sit on the bed. And if I did try to just sit on the bed, it was so high that I would end up sliding down. So I decided to get a lower bed to make it a little easier and safer for me to get in and out of bed. Nowadays, they even have beds that have motion activated lights underneath them. Obviously, you don't have to get a bed that has that. You can have a string of LED lights installed that are motion activated. And what I like about that is that when you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, if you do, as soon as you put your feet down on the floor, then those lights come on. So it gives you this beautiful night light that you can use to go into and out of the bathroom. I didn't do that. I had some other night lights installed but it is a nice solution, and it's something that is out of the way. And it actually looks really very nice and high end. So another modification you want to think about are the stairs. Like I said, I live in a 2-story home. So I am hoping that I can stay in this 2-story home until I can't. But if I needed to, I could install a stair lift or a residential elevator. It wouldn't be a very big elevator because my home is not very large, but those are two options if you plan to stay in a 2-story home, is to look at stair lifts and to look at possibly where you could install a residential elevator. If you do focus on the elevator, which I think would be an amazing selling point, and stair lifts also, but I think elevators would be more of a selling point than stair lifts. But if you do focus on an elevator, you want to make sure that the elevator would be wide enough to accommodate a wheelchair. Doesn't have to accommodate a lot of people, just to accommodate one person in a wheelchair. That would be my only tip. And the only reason I say that is because they do make these small residential elevators that just accommodate one person to go up and down. And those are great. But if you happen to end up needing a wheelchair, then that would be a waste of money. So you definitely want to look at these two items, want to at least get an idea of what the cost would be for either one. For the elevator, you would want to get an idea of where in the world you would put that in your home, if that's something that you would do. But ideally, that would be a very high-end type of thing that would definitely add to the resale of your home. And a lot of these items, if they're done well, if they're done with the help of a senior safety specialist, aging in place specialist, then a lot of them can be aesthetically designed into your home so that it does increase the value of your house. All right, another item that I did that I knew was going to be coming down the pike at some point was to increase the amount of lighting. Now, I wanted to take away as many lamps as I could from my floor. I like the idea of things not being on the floor as much as possible, simply because I have the robotic vacuum cleaners, which are lovely. I love them. So the less items on the floor, the better it can clean. So I wanted to take out as many lamps as I could. So I installed a lot of overhead lamps. And that included a lot of the can lights, especially in the ceiling, in the kitchen, in the living area, in the bathrooms. They not only put out a lot of light, which as we get older, we need more and more light, much more than what we think we do. And though that can really help to keep us from tripping and falling and banging against furniture or anything like that. The other thing I added were motion sensor lights, and I added those in the form of night lights plugged into the wall. There's many different ways that you can do motion sensor lights. You can have it, integrated into your stairways. You can have it like I did, just plug-ins around the house. But overhead lights can also become motion sensor as well. And obviously outdoor lights can be motion sensor. Flooring choices are also something else you want to consider. Carpets, of course, a lot of older adults are accustomed to carpets, but they're not necessarily the best for wheelchairs or for walkers. So you want things that are smooth, that are low, though I always recommend to get rid of rugs. If you absolutely want to use rugs, I recommend the vinyl rugs from vmatathome.com. Those are beautiful, non-slip, wonderful rugs. I have several of those in my own home. And obviously nowadays the luxury vinyls that are available that look like tile and look like wood, those are beautiful choices because they withstand almost anything and will look brand new for years and years to come. And they're easy to clean, they're easy to maintain, and very easy to use if you do happen to use a walker or wheelchair or any of that kind. And of course, you want to make sure they're as non-slip as possible. You also want to take a look at technology. Nowadays, there are so many ways to make your home as smart as possible. A couple of years ago, my HVAC had to be replaced. And so along with that came new thermostats. And the new thermostats nowadays, I use, I think it's the Google Nest. And what I love about it is that I can program it to a specific temperature. So if it gets too cold, colder than the temperature that I set, the heat automatically comes on. If it gets hot above the temperature that I set, then the air conditioning comes on. So I love it because I don't have to touch it all year long. It's automatically set, and it's very, very easy to use. So that's one piece of technology that I added. I also added Alexa devices throughout the house. One, because it's a nice way to have music anywhere I want. Two, it's a great way I use it as a telephone. I can call anyone just using my voice. Three, I like that it's an emergency type of thing. If I were to fall, I could use my voice to call for help. I know that a lot of older adults like to use the emergency medical alert devices, and those are great. Yes, you can click on it if you're able to click on it. You can't use your voice, of course. Some of them you might be able to, but nowadays they even have overhead lights. Nobi, N-O-B-I, has come out with an overhead light that is also a fall detection. So if you were to fall in the room where that overhead light is installed, it will send out an alert to whomever you have on your alert list to let them know that you've fallen, that you need to be taken care of. So there's so many wonderful ways that technology is being integrated into our homes. The entire house doesn't have to be a smart home, but you can definitely do a lot with just with Alexa devices, Google Home devices, although Alexa I know has more skills and more features than Google Home, but both of them can definitely be used a lot of different ways to not only protect yourself, protect your home, but also as emergency devices, entertainment devices, and devices that can also handle, anything from your television to lights to your oven to just about anything. And it's only going to increase more and more. So I do want you to know that a lot of these home modifications that I mentioned, the kitchen, I completely forgot about the kitchen. So the kitchen, one of the things that I did was I installed a different level countertops. One is a little higher and lower and the other is lower than the other. And the reason for that is that as I'm getting older, I'm getting shorter. And it's not by much for sure, but 10 years from now, I'll for sure be an inch or two shorter. And working on a higher countertop can be very uncomfortable for shoulders and your arms and, your lower back. I already have lower back issues. So it just makes sense to have different level countertops. And if you live with someone who's tall and someone who's short, you definitely want different level countertops. So if you're redoing or considering modifying your kitchen, I would definitely look at two level type of countertops. The other thing you may want to look at are touchless faucets. Now, those have those pros and cons because they're either running on a battery or they're running on electricity. So there are issues with them, but some people with severe arthritis, especially rheumatoid arthritis, find the touchless faucets a godsend. So you may want to consider looking at those. And the other thing that I did is I had the closet organization people come in and change all my kitchen cabinets and pantry cabinets to pull out shelves, which I thought I would lose a lot of space doing that, but it's the absolute opposite. I definitely have not lost space. And if anything, I've gained it because I can organize the space so much better. So those are the changes that I made in my kitchen that you may want to consider doing in your kitchen. Now, all of these issues, you may think, well, they're not just about aging in place. It's really all about making the home as safe as possible while you're living in it. But they do really increase the value of your home. I had the house I lived in before this, I had a curbless shower. I changed the bathroom in the master bathroom there, and I changed it to a curbless shower stall. And I have to tell you, a young couple moved in with 2 children. They moved into that home, and she told me that was the selling point, was that bathroom. She said she thought that curbless shower was just beautiful and so modern looking. And she said that's actually what sold her on the house. So it doesn't have to be something that necessarily looks like it's for older adults. It just has to function very well for all ages, but especially older adults. Well, I hope these tidbits help you. I know that I'm enjoying my home with all of these new modifications, and I know that more and more adults are spending money on that in their homes because they want to stay in their homes. I mean, with the price of houses these days, it just makes absolute sense. So thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to our next podcast. All right, take care. Speak to you later.
That's it for today's episode of the Senior Safety Advice Podcast, helping you and your loved ones stay safe, independent, and informed. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe and share it with others who could benefit. For more expert tips and resources, visit seniorsafetyadvice.com. And remember, staying safe starts with staying informed. Until next time, take care and stay safe.